Imagine a society where workers just um, close their laptops and leave the office at 3 p.m. sharp.
Right, every single day.
Every single day.
Right.
Yet their economic output and their mental acuity routinely outpace executives who are grinding through those brutal 80-hour work weeks.
Sounds totally impossible.
It really does. Almost like a fairy tale, honestly.
Yeah.
But when you look at the intersection of two very specific geographically isolated cultures, this isn't a fantasy at all.
No, it's an actively functioning, highly optimized reality.
Exactly. So welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we are exploring a cultural and philosophical landscape that is the absolute definition of a quiet utopia.
A very quiet utopia.
Yeah. We're looking at the fusion of Nordic and Japanese lifestyles. And our mission for you, the listener, is to extract the core insights of this hybrid society.
We want to see exactly how it functions as a profound antidote to our modern burnout culture.
Right, because we are all feeling that burnout right now.
Yeah. It is a vital antidote, really, because while these two cultures are separated by, vast freezing oceans, they share this profound, almost sacred axis.
They really do.
They're both built on a foundation of absolute functionality, a relentless distillation of the non-essential, and a deep, deep reverence for the natural world.
But this isn't just about, throwing some minimalist furniture into a room and calling it a day.
Oh, definitely not.
Okay, let's unpack this, because I want to set the stage right away. This goes way beyond that trendy, Japan-y interior design aesthetic you might see curated on social media.
Right, the stuff on Pinterest.
Yeah, exactly. We are talking about a radical, systemic restructuring of how we work, how we nourish our bodies, and how we actually connect with other human beings.
The whole life philosophy.
It is.
Yeah.
But to understand how this hybrid society functions out in the world, we really have to look at the foundational launchpad of their daily life, which is the physical living space.
You have to optimize the sanctuary before you can optimize the mind.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, and the visual aesthetic of this fusion is incredibly deliberate. You have these earthy palettes, warm natural woods, charcoal, cream.
Very calming colors.
Exactly. But the real magic happens in the structural marriage. You take the low-profile, very grounded, gravity-heavy Japanese furniture.
Right.
And you combine it with the organic, sculptural, curved lines of Danish modernism.
And we know the basics of these design philosophies, right?
Right.
We know the Nordic concept of hygge, that famous sense of coziness.
Right, candles and blankets.
Yeah, and lagom, the idea of perfect balance.
Yeah.
Not too much, not too little.
Right.
Exactly. And on the Japanese side, we're familiar with wabi-sabi, finding beauty in imperfection, and ma, the intentional use of empty space.
Right.
But where this gets genuinely fascinating is the physiological impact of mashing them together. I mean, it's basically Marie Kondo meets IKEA, but executed flawlessly.
That's a great way to put it. What's fascinating here is how it actually changes the brain. When you combine ma with lagom, you aren't just decorating. You are fundamentally changing how the brain processes a room.
Wait, really? How does it do that?
That's the crucial mechanism here. Ma isn't just an empty corner for the sake of being empty. It is a cognitive resting point.
A cognitive resting point.
Yeah. By intentionally leaving a wall blank or a space devoid of objects, you are physically reducing the amount of visual data your optic nerve has to process.
Right.
Because in a typical, cluttered modern home, your brain is constantly subconsciously pinging your amygdala with micro decisions.
Do I need to clean that?
Exactly. Should I move that? What is that doing there? Ma actively silences those pings. It actively lowers your baseline cortisol levels.
Hold on, because extreme minimalism has a well-known trap, doesn't it?
It does.
If you strip too much away, doesn't it end up feeling like you're living in a sterile clinical hospital waiting room?
Right, it can.
I mean, empty space can be peaceful, but it can also be incredibly cold and alienating.
Which is exactly why pure traditional Japanese minimalism can sometimes feel a bit overly ascetic to an outsider.
Bit harsh, yeah.
And pure Scandinavian design can lean a bit too bright and clinical. But when you synthesize them, the Nordic hygge comes in as the ultimate solvent for that coldness.
Oh, I see.
You take that stark, cortisol-lowering empty space, but you fill it with chunky wool knits, the flicker of candlelight, the soft tactile textures of raw wood.
It warms it up.
It softens the strictness entirely. It creates what architects call an architectural silence.
Architectural silence. Man, I love that framing. It's a space that doesn't scream at you for attention. It just holds you.
Exactly.
And here is the causal link that really stood out from the sources. Because the home removes all that ambient decision fatigue. The brain actually has the surplus bandwidth required to engage in intense daily physical wellness rituals.
Yes.
The mindset of the home spills directly into the physical body.
The body in this hybrid culture is treated with the exact same ruthless intentionality as the living room.
Ruthless intentionality, yeah.
Yeah. And a massive non-negotiable part of that is the bathing ritual. We are looking at a complete merger of the Finnish sauna with the Japanese onsen, the volcanic hot spring.
But this isn't like a luxury spa day you book once a year for a bachelorette party.
No, no.
This is a mandatory daily public ritual of purification, steam, and absolute silence.
And it's deeply tied to their shared cultural DNA of nature connection.
Right.
You have the identical twins of Norway's friluftsliv, which basically means open-air living regardless of the weather.
Which is wild.
It is. And Japan's Shinrin-yoku, the practice of forest bathing.
Yeah.
Nature isn't a destination for them. It's a living, breathing partner in daily life.
But let's be real for a second here. The reality of this outdoor lifestyle involves cycling to a bathhouse in sub-zero temperatures,
Right.
sweating in a wooden box, and then plunging your body into a freezing fjord.
Yeah, it does.
That sounds like biological punishment.
Yeah.
How is freezing your internal organs an antidote to modern burnout?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it forces a biological override of your modern anxieties.
A biological override.
Yeah. The physiological mechanism of that thermal shock is incredible. When you hit that freezing water, your blood vessels instantly constrict.
Okay.
You get a massive spike of adrenaline and a subsequent flood of dopamine. It bypasses your ruminating brain entirely.
Wow.
It uses your body's base survival instincts to just hit the reset button.
So it's basically forced mindfulness through thermal shock.
Pretty much.
I mean, you cannot possibly be agonizing over an unread email or some passive-aggressive Slack message when your entire central nervous system is just screaming, survive!
Exactly. It dissolves the boundary between the self and the environment. You combine Nordic sisu, that profound stoic grit and resilience,
Right.
with Japanese ikigai, your intrinsic reason for being. The cold plunge forces you into absolute, undeniable presence.
You are rebooting the hardware.
Literally.
And then once you've frozen and steamed yourself into a state of total presence, you have to nurse the system.
Yes, the food.
And the food fusion here is just brilliant. It's a longevity protocol based entirely on the Japanese concept of shun, which is eating strictly what is in the exact peak of its season, combined with a mutual obsession with fermentation.
The historical overlap is what drives this, actually.
Oh, right.
Both Nordic and Japanese cultures developed in regions with incredibly harsh, unforgiving winters.
Or severe geographic island constraints.
Exactly. So to survive, both cultures had to master the absolute art of preserving food for the dark months.
Which results in this hyper-local, zero-waste diet that is just a sensory masterpiece.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, imagine sitting down to a piece of dense, dark rye sourdough slathered with rich miso butter.
Miso butter is incredible.
It sounds so good. Or having sharp, acidic pickled herring sitting right alongside natto, the deeply fermented Japanese soybeans.
Right.
You finish a meal with tart Nordic cloudberries paired with the bitter, grassy, earthy notes of ceremonial matcha. Miso glazed cod isn't a fancy restaurant dish for them. It's just a standard Tuesday night staple.
And from a biological standpoint, it is the perfect fuel.
Really?
Yeah, it's incredibly nutrient-dense, packed with marine omega-3s, and that heavy emphasis on fermented everything is a masterclass in optimizing the gut-brain axis.
Right, the gut microbiome.
We know now that a robust microbiome is directly linked to enhanced mental clarity, lowered systemic inflammation, and vastly reduced anxiety.
Wow.
They are quite literally eating a diet that biologically insulates them against stress.
Okay, so you have a perfectly silent, minimalist sanctuary.
Check.
You've rebooted your nervous system in a freezing fjord.
Check.
Your gut microbiome is humming on miso butter and pickled herring. But here is the massive elephant in the room.
Okay, let's hear it.
How does this hyper-zen hybrid person actually pay the bills in a modern global economy without losing their mind?
Yeah, that's the big question.
Because this is where we hit the biggest paradox of the entire deep dive.
The professional sphere is absolutely where these two cultural models have a spectacular high-speed collision. The underlying philosophies of work couldn't be more diametrically opposed.
Right. Because on the Nordic side, you have radically flat corporate hierarchies.
Yes.
You have rigid 37-hour work weeks.
Yeah.
There's a deep societal expectation that at 3 p.m., you are packing up your laptop to go pick up your kids from daycare.
Right.
And if you stay late, your boss actually assumes you are inefficient.
Which is wild compared to Japan.
Exactly, because on the Japanese side, you have the exact opposite. You have strict, unbending seniority. You have grueling, punishingly long hours and absolute, unwavering dedication to the corporate collective.
It seems like an impossible equation, honestly. You simply cannot execute a 3 p.m. Nordic checkout in a culture that expects you to sit at your desk until the senior vice president decides to leave at 9 p.m.
But here's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
The synthesis yields a total paradigm shift. The hybrid fix that emerges from this clash is a hyper-efficient, laser-focused 6-hour workday.
6 hours.
Yeah. Blending Japanese Kaizen with the short Nordic time frame is, it's like putting a Formula One engine inside a golf cart frame.
That is a great analogy.
The time frame is small and tightly contained, but the output happening inside of it is relentlessly optimized and incredibly high octane.
That's a perfect way to look at it. They take Kaizen, which is the philosophy of continuous compounding micro improvements,
Right.
and they apply it alongside the shokunin spirit.
The craftsman.
Right, the shokunin is the craftsman. It's an artisan who approaches even the most mundane task with a deep spiritual reverence.
Wow.
When you apply that level of intense, focused craftsmanship to a strict 6-hour window, the results are staggering.
Because it fundamentally kills the theater of FaceTime.
Exactly.
Instead of a 10-hour marathon where you spend like 4 hours pretending to look busy on Microsoft Teams, toggling between tabs, chatting by the coffee machine.
We all know that feeling.
Right. It is a 6-hour sprint of absolute monk-like focus.
Yeah.
There is zero performative busyness. It is intense, deeply respectful, deep work.
And this solves the darkest element of the Japanese work model.
The overwork issue.
Right. Because of the strict Nordic boundaries, the toxic reality of karoshi, which literally translates to death by overwork, a tragic systemic issue in Japan, is entirely eliminated.
Wow, that's huge.
It is replaced by the Nordic fika.
And fika isn't just grabbing a coffee while staring at your phone.
No, not at all.
It's a mandatory, scheduled cessation of work where colleagues sit down, disconnect, and reestablish social cohesion.
It's protected time.
Yeah. And then, at 3 p.m., the sprint is over, the work is genuinely done, the boss bows to acknowledge your deep effort, and you leave, completely guilt-free.
What this model proves to the rest of the world is that productivity and exhaustion are not synonymous.
Say that again.
Productivity and exhaustion are not synonymous. In fact, they are often inversely correlated.
Yeah.
By rejecting the industrial era relic of judging workers by the hours their bodies occupy a chair, this society achieves greater mental clarity and vastly higher economic output. Every single minute of those 6 hours is purposeful.
It sounds like an absolute dream.
It really does.
But let's pivot here for a second. If the home, the body, and the workday are so incredibly, beautifully optimized, human nature dictates there has to be friction somewhere in the system.
Oh, of course.
You can't have this level of high-octane optimization without an exhaust pipe.
Right.
What happens when these quiet, focused, perfectly balanced people actually have to interact with each other in a messy, unpredictable world?
Well, this raises an important question. It brings us to the social friction points, the shadow side of this cultural synthesis.
The shadow side.
Yeah. When you blend these specific social norms, the collision around communication and community is intense.
Because the communication styles are a jarring mismatch.
Very much so.
Nordic cultures are famously blunt. They value high transparency, directness above almost everything else. If an idea is bad, they will look you right in the eye and plainly tell you it is a bad idea.
It's viewed as efficient and honest.
Right. But Japanese culture, conversely, relies heavily on teime. These are polite, indirect, social facades constructed specifically to protect harmony and save face.
Harmony is everything.
Yeah, so a direct refusal or a flat no is incredibly rare. Instead, you get, that might be somewhat difficult to achieve.
So the challenge becomes, how do you merge blunt, unvarnished truth with deeply protective politeness?
It sounds impossible.
The mechanism they land on is something anthropologists call exquisite tact.
Exquisite tact. It's a brilliant, if exhausting, compromise.
It really is.
In this hybrid world, people remain brutally honest, but they deliver the news with an almost poetic, ritualistic courtesy.
Right.
Imagine sitting in a boardroom and a colleague looks at you, bows slightly, serves you a cup of green tea, and says, with the deepest and most profound respect, Your proposal is entirely insufficient, and we will not be using it.
It resolves the tension perfectly on paper.
It does.
You have the Nordic transparency, so there's zero ambiguity. You always know exactly where you stand and what is expected of you. But it is wrapped in Japanese ritualistic respect.
Yeah.
The individual's dignity is always preserved, even in rejection.
But then you hit the conformity paradox. And this is where things get really heavy in the sources.
Yeah, this is the difficult part.
Both of these cultures have deep-seated, ironclad rules about not standing out from the collective.
Very strict rules.
You have the Nordic-Japanese law, which is essentially a societal mandate that translates to, do not think you are better than us, do not think you are special, do not show off.
Right.
And that slams headfirst into the famous Japanese proverb, the nail that sticks up gets hammered down.
The resulting synthesis creates a society with impeccably clean streets, incredibly high social trust, and virtually non-existent crime.
Which sounds great.
It creates a frictionless society on the surface, largely because absolutely no one wants to be an inconvenience or a burden to anyone else. It is an introvert's absolute paradise.
Okay, but wait. An introvert's paradise sounds great if you want to sit in a beautifully designed room and read a book in silence. But if you actually want to make a spontaneous new friend, or start a disruptive new business, or just express a loud, weird aspect of your personality, this sounds absolutely terrifying.
It can be.
The ultimate trade-off of this utopia is that you buy societal peace using the currency of your own individuality.
Yeah.
Isn't this just a recipe for deep, systemic isolation?
And that is the exact vulnerability of the system. It is a society of intense, almost suffocating conformity.
Defecating, yeah.
When collective harmony is elevated to the highest possible virtue, the individual ego has to take a back seat.
Right.
It is a world where people are undeniably statistically happy, they have incredible longevity, they're highly productive, but the barrier to entry for outsiders is practically insurmountable.
Wow.
They are, in many ways, alone together. The cognitive load of constantly monitoring your behavior to ensure you aren't bothering anyone else creates a subtle ambient distance between people.
That makes so much sense. So what does this all mean for you listening to this right now as you navigate your own chaotic morning?
Yeah, how do we apply this?
As we distill everything we've explored today across all these sources, the core takeaway is that this hybrid Japanese existence offers a genuinely compelling blueprint.
It really does.
It shows us mechanistically that we can have simplicity without feeling clinically deprived. It proves mathematically that we can achieve incredible productivity without surrendering our sanity to toxic hustle culture.
Exactly.
And it invites you to reflect. How might you bring a little lagom, that sense of perfectly calibrated balance, or a little kaizen, the compounding interest of mindful improvement, into your own life?
Start small.
Yeah. Maybe it's establishing a strict cutoff for your own work sprint, or just treating your morning coffee as a focused ritual instead of something you chug while staring at your inbox.
And as you consider integrating those serene, minimalist aesthetics and that hyper-focused productivity into your own routine, there is a final, deeper dynamic to consider before we go.
Okay.
A thought that extends beyond the frameworks we've discussed today.
Let's hear it.
If we, in the modern West, try to simply adopt the beautiful wood furniture, the matcha rituals, and the 6-hour work sprints of this Nordic-Japanese hybrid...
Breakfast-level stuff.
Exactly. If we attempt to do it without their centuries-old foundations of deep communal trust and incredibly robust social safety nets, do we actually reach a quiet utopia?
Oh.
Or do we just succeed in creating a highly optimized, beautifully decorated version of modern loneliness?
A perfectly clean, architecturally silent room. Right back where we started. But wondering who is actually going to walk through the door.
Exactly.
That is a really powerful thought to leave on. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive.
Until next time, take care.